Hey guys, how are you doing? Okay. So this is my review of Captivated, the trials of Pamela Smart, which I saw this morning. Now, I managed to get some awesome Q&A footage because the director was there, but it was kind of long, and I'm uploading it right now as I'm doing this review. So I'm probably I'm gonna put this up as soon as I finish uploading this. For some reason, whenever I upload from my webcam to YouTube, it only takes it doesn't take that long, but when I upload from my camera, it takes forever. So it's going to take me hours to upload that footage. So I'm going to put it up later, but I'm going to put up the review as soon as I get it uploaded, which is going to be a lot sooner than that. So come back to see the Q&A because it was really good. Now, this movie was awesome. It's an HBO documentary, which means you are going to see this. It's going to come out. It's either going to be, if you get HBO, it's going to come out sooner or later on HBO. Could end up in the theaters. You will see this movie. It was really, really good. If you love, like, kind of true crime documentary, trial stuff, courtroom drama, you will absolutely love this movie. Now, I'm sure many of you remember this trial. Oh, by the way, I should add, the director's name is Jeremiah Zagar, and he's an American director. So anyway, this was like an infamous murder case, and they said in the movie that this was the first trial that was ever televised gavel to gavel. There had been, like, trial footage, I guess, shown before, but never the entire trial. This trial was the first trial that was shown from beginning to end, every second of it. And it took place in New Hampshire in 1990. And for those of you who don't know the basics of the story, I'm sure most of you do, but for those of you who don't, Pamela Smart was this very attractive young school teacher. Either she was a school teacher or she worked in the school in some capacity as, I think, a media coordinator or something like that. Anyway, she worked in this high school, and that's where she met her teenage lover, this guy named Billy Flynn, who was only 15 years old. Now, she herself was only 21 at the time. I was surprised at that. I thought she was a little bit older. I thought she was maybe at least mid-20s, but she was extremely young herself. She was only 21 years old, and she was married to a guy named Greg Smart. They'd only been married for a year. Anyway, so, story goes, she has an affair with this high school boy, breaks it off. This is her version of the story. She broke it off after, I don't know, like a few weeks or something, and apparently he just went bonkers and went and killed her husband. This is her story. Now, of course, their story, and most of the evidence seems to point towards this, was that she, she sort of manipulated him, connived him into murdering her husband for her. And there were 3 kids involved. Well, actually 4 of them. There were 3 boys and 1 girl. But the 3 boys who were directly involved in the murder, she promised to pay them each $1,000 from the insurance policy if they killed her husband for her. And they agreed to do this. I guess they're 15 years old. They think it's a great idea. I don't know. But anyway, so they broke into the house one night, waited for him. First they staged it to look like a robbery, like upended drawers and shit like that, put stuff all over the floor. Then when he got home, they held him down, I guess beat him up for a little while, and then eventually shot him in the head. One of them. So that's the basics of the story. Now, this trial was like media craziness. It was on every talk show. Geraldo, Oprah, Sally Jesse Raphael, all those tabloid, news shows like Hard Copy that were really popular at the time. What was another one? I forget all the names of them, but you know them. We've all seen them, right? It was like all over the place that you could not get away from this story. It was just so like fascinating and juicy, right? And, when I heard about the case, I thought it was pretty much cut and dried, and another thing was, okay, so this movie really focused on the media handling of the case and how the media kind of like makes it impossible for anybody to get a fair trial, and how it skews everything in a certain way. Like, everybody is cast in a certain light. Everybody has this role to play that they fall into. And of course, her role was this fucking femme fatale bitch, evil, conniving woman who, I think somebody described it as, Eve tempting Adam with this apple, getting this kid to, commit this murder for her because he was so obsessed with her sexually. Just using her sexual wiles to get what she wants and everything. I mean, it was a classic, like sensationalistic, juicy story, right? And the media just like completely ran with it and just, like it was everywhere, that's all anybody wanted to hear about, talk about. Now, when I first heard about this case, like I said, I thought it was pretty much cut and dried. The way that she was portrayed in the media was like this evil bitch, which I fully bought into. I could easily see, the scenario happening where she's... Sorry. Okay, so to continue. I could easily see that scenario where, she's this manipulative, cunning person who just, she's 21 years old, probably not fully mature yet herself, is bored with her husband for whatever reason, or just wants his money, whatever. He had insurance policies, of course. She's having an affair with this kid, and says, well, yeah, I can get this kid to do it for me. I don't have to get my own hands dirty, and I can get away with it. This kid is stupid. I can get him to do this for me, and I can get away with it easy, right? This is her. It was all too easy for me to buy. I mean, it seems like a very plausible scenario, right? And pretty much everybody else bought that scenario too. But you know what? After watching this movie, I'm not going to say that I think she's innocent, because I really don't think that she's innocent. But of course, her story is that she had nothing to do with the murder. She did not, coerce them, or, because the kid said that she was threatening to cut him off sexually if he didn't do this for her, and he was in love with her, wanted to be with her, and she led him to believe that they were going to be a couple and all this stuff if he did it for her. And so it was very easy to believe that story, right? But she's saying that, no, she didn't ask this kid to do it for her. She just broke it off. And she didn't want to believe that it was him who killed her husband, but of course all the evidence came back, pointed to him. And she found out it was him. And she was horrified, she's saying, when she found this out, because she realized that even if she didn't, try to talk this kid into doing it for her, if she wouldn't have had the affair with this kid, it wouldn't have happened to begin with, right? So she knows she's guilty, at least in that respect, right? Now, I don't believe that she is innocent, but this movie did such a good job of, casting a different light on her, and it was actually quite a sympathetic portrayal of her. Even though it wasn't directly saying that she is innocent, she was really kind of railroaded by the media. Like, they just ate it up. They ate the story up. They exploited her, exploited the story, and kind of geared it towards the audience, not so much towards the facts. Like, I remember when this case happened, in all the papers, there were all those pictures of her posing in, like, her underwear and all these bikinis and stuff, right? Well, I thought that those pictures were pictures she had taken and sent to her teenage lover. But it turns out that those pictures were not sent to him. They were pictures that her and a friend of hers took of each other because they were entering this bikini contest or something like that. So they were doing these test shots. And this kid had never even seen these things. Yet the way the media skewed that story, I thought it was, oh my God, she's sending him all these pictures. She's tantalizing this guy. She's like really, really like, just getting into this kid's brain, like, just totally manipulating him sexually, right? But no, that wasn't the case, and I did not know that. So I thought, oh, well, that's kind of an important detail, because it really says a lot about her character, right? Like, I mean, she was really painted as this awful, awful person, right? Now, the one bit of evidence they did have against her, the only rock solid, kind of, I'll get into this a little bit more later, evidence they had against her was this tape, which had been made by the teenage girl who was involved in this, right? I guess the cops were talking to her, and they got her to wear a wire and have these phone conversations with her. And so she got her on tape saying some pretty incriminating stuff, like, oh, like, I'm really sorry you have to go in and talk to the cops, but, I hope you don't have to take a lie detector test, and blah. Like, she was saying all this stuff that sounded like she knew exactly what had gone on. She played a part in it, and she was sorry that this girl had been, involved, and that she would have to talk to the cops, and blah, blah, blah. But this thing about this tape was, it was a horrible quality tape. The audio was terrible, and there were tons and tons of bits and pieces that were missing. Like, yeah, there were some pretty damning quotes in this tape, but there were there were sections of the tape where, like, the section that came before the quote and after the quote was missing, so it was kind of taken out of context. So if she would have had a better defense lawyer, if she would have had a better defense team, they definitely would have, and the money to invest in looking into this tape a little bit more, she might have gotten acquitted, because, it was a really, really poor quality tape, and that was the only evidence, rock solid evidence they had against her. And the kids, like the boys who were involved in this, in the murder, the kids she was having the affair with, I mean, they were all like from this poor side of town, and they were all kind of like criminals. They broke and entered. These guys were not angels. They were punks, basically, right? Assault, drugs, DUI, all this stuff, right? These guys were no angels, right? And when this kid, Billy Flynn, was testifying about shooting the husband, and they showed the footage in the movie, I mean, he was so convincing up there on the stand. He's crying. He's like, he's telling the story about exactly what went down in the house that night. And he looked like he was really broken up by it. He looked like he had been traumatized by this incident. Like, I can't believe I did this. God, forgive me. But then it comes out, like his... some of his inmates at the time were testifying and saying that this guy was doing coke before the trial, and he's like, yeah, cocaine helps me, it gets me more emotional, so it'll make me look better on the stand and all this stuff. So they're saying this guy was just a really, really good actor, and he wasn't as innocent and whatever as it seemed. So there was all this stuff going on, right? And that's why I love movies like this, because it really takes a totally in-depth look at the case, and from all sides, right? Like from the prosecution side, from the defense side. And it gives you a really objective view of everything, so you can kind of, take things in and decide for yourself, whatever. Oh yeah, and then another thing that I thought was kind of weird about this was, one of the jurors on this case, they were sequestered during this trial, so they had to stay in like a hotel or whatever because of the media, right? The media frenzy surrounding it. And one of the jurors made audio tapes during the trial, and she was talking, and she did not believe that she was guilty. She was saying, oh, these kids are, they're a bunch of punks, they're psychos, blah, 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 this and that. This doesn't add up, that doesn't add up. So she sounded like she really believed that she was innocent, but then in the end, Pam Smart ended up getting convicted, so she must have voted guilty in the end, right? So they're playing all these tapes of her talking about how she thinks that, well, this is bullshit and this is bullshit, yet in the end she convicted her anyway. So, I don't know, that part of it kind of, I was like, what's that, But boy, this was a really, really, really excellent true crime documentary. Another thing that I did not realize about Pamela Smart is that she is an extremely, extremely intelligent person. Even hearing her talk, like, she's very, I guess like a lot of these criminals are, they're very charismatic, right? And she comes off as this very soft-spoken, meek, demure woman, right? And she's extremely intelligent. When I saw these pictures of her during the case and in the media posing in this bikini, I'm thinking, oh, this is just some airhead slut, right? No, she's not. She's very, very smart. Pamela Smart is very smart. She's gotten her master's in something, and a BA and a master's in prison. And the professor was saying that she was the smartest student that she ever had. So this woman is no idiot. She's no dummy. She was 21 years old when this happened. I'm not saying, if she is guilty, that excuses it, that she was some stupid, just some idiot who thought she could get away with this. But, it really surprised me listening to her. And, I thought I had my mind made up about this case a long time ago when it all took place, and I was hearing about it in the media. I was like, oh, this broad is so guilty. I mean, just like OJ, right? Oh, by the way, OJ was the second trial that was televised gavel to gavel. This was the first one, and OJ was the second one. And, of course, everybody had their, how could you not have your mind made up about OJ, right? Guilty, 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 right? It was the same with her. It was like, no question about it. Another one that comes to mind is that, who's that broad in Florida that killed her kid? Oh, and she got off. She got acquitted. What was her name? Oh, my God. I forget her name. Oh, despicable person. This was like such a big thing. What the hell's her name? I can't think of it now, but I'm going to put it up here in the, somewhere in this area here. But that was a really famous case too, and everybody thinks, thought that she was guilty. I certainly did. Yeah, like you think you have your mind made up about these cases, and then you see a movie like this where you hear all the facts. Not just some of the facts, but the stuff that you didn't know, and you're kind of thinking to yourself, I mean, in the end, I still do believe that she is guilty. But, there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know about this. And it really does. I mean, these guys who made this movie should have been her defense team, because it certainly created reasonable doubt. Really, really created reasonable doubt. I mean, it really, really told her story in a fair way. And, yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. Really, really great. And I'm so glad he was there that I got that Q&A footage for you guys. It was really, really good. Let's see, what else do I want to say? I guess that's it, really. I know there's something else I wanted to say, but I forget what it is right now. But I would highly, highly recommend this. This will come out. You'll see it on HBO, or it may even come out in the theaters. Definitely, if you're into, like, the true crime documentary stuff, you would love this movie. It will not disappoint you. It was really, really great. Okay, so tomorrow I'm seeing two movies. I'm seeing Whitey, the movie about Whitey Bulger, directed by Joel Berlinger, another true crime movie that should be awesome. And then another true crime movie called David and Me, which I think is it's Canadian-made, but it's an American case about a Brooklyn teenager who may have wrongly been convicted of murder, and he's been incarcerated for many, many years. So two more great true crime documentaries coming up tomorrow. So, like I said, if the Q&A footage is not attached to this video right now, come back later and check it out, because it's really, really good. It's about 10 minutes long. It was a nice Q&A. Okay, so 2 major thumbs up for this movie. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, thanks for watching, you guys. Bye.